Hello there, welcome back to my channel. It is of course only me again, and welcome to a very special festive end of year edition metal detecting related video. So in this video I am going to be going all the way back through 2023, looking at all the places that I've been, all the places I've visited and all the places that I have been metal detecting in. Now, there's going to be lots of interesting places that I've been to, and trust me, 2023 has been an amazing year for me. I have had such great opportunities this year to get into so many great permissions and work alongside some of the best landowners and farmers that you could ever dream of as a metal detectorist. I have ticked off so many bucket lists in 2023, finds that honestly I never ever thought that I would actually end up finding at all. I see pictures online of people finding amazing things. I see videos and stories and things like that, but did I honestly ever think some of these things would happen to me? No, I honestly didn't. I was quite happy to go out looking for them, and of course it's the thrill of the chase, isn't it? You know, you go out looking for it, hoping that you're going to find something, and sometimes you come home with absolutely nothing and a bag full of junk, but it's been a great day out with your friends, you know, in the countryside, the birds are singing, the sun's shining, and it's just been a wonderful experience. So sometimes to come home with things that you honestly dream about finding is what this hobby is all about. And 2023 for me has just been an absolutely fantastic year. And I'm so grateful for everybody watching this channel who has experienced some of the amazing things that I found along with me. It's such a nice feeling to go out and metal detect, but also to record the days out and record the things that you find, because it means that you can actually share that particular moment, you pulling it out of the ground, this thing that's not been seen for hundreds if not thousands of years. And I can share that with everybody here, and the comments that come in regarding those sorts of features and finds are just overwhelming. I absolutely love it. Again, I want to thank everybody here for coming along with me and subscribing throughout 2023, because without any of you, then, you know, this channel couldn't grow. And I also want to thank everybody who has subscribed in 2023, and I want to thank everybody who has donated to the channel as well. If you have donated via PayPal or the Buy Me a Coffee link, then I again say thank you to each and every one of you, because that does mean a lot, and every little bit that goes into the channel. I do actually end up buying coffee with the Buy Me a Coffee gifts and donations, but everything else that comes in, even the money I make from YouTube for doing these videos, it all goes back into the channel, whether that's buying gear for going out in the rain, a new set of gloves, or, you know, making hats, coin pods, etc, etc. It all goes back into the channel, okay? So there is no greed here. And again, I don't ask people to donate, because that's not what this channel is about. But anybody that feels like they want to, then it's always grateful. You know, I'm always happy to take in a little bit of cash, and then I can pump it back into the channel, and that means that of course it's going to make better content for you in the long run and more videos in the future. So anyway, this video is going to be a bit of a special one. I wanted to do this type of video last year, but I didn't actually get around to doing it. I think mainly because I just couldn't quite pick the sort of top 5 finds that I wanted to be my best finds of 2022. But I think this year has been so good that I had such a nice selection of things that I could pick. And of course, some of them, as you know, who probably watch the channel, are going to be much more up there near the top than some of the other things that I found. But I think these are going to be things that I think are my best finds of 2023, and it's been a pretty tricky choice actually to try and get it down to 5 things. But as I said, there are most certainly a few things in there that are just going to absolutely be, you know, without a doubt, the best things I have found in 2023. And likely the best things I'm ever going to find ever in my detecting career. But I hope that you enjoy them, and if you're new to the channel and you're a new subscriber, I'm going to put a link to each one of the videos and each one of the finds down below, so that you can go back and experience that day as I talk about it in this video, and hopefully relive that moment with me as well. Don't forget to drop me a comment on there, let me know what you think of it, and of course, you know, interaction is key. But let's do a little bit of reminiscing now in 2023 while I go through my top 5 finds of 2023, and we are going to start with find number 5. Okay, so find number 5 is for me, and again, this is a really hard choice, but I really wanted to include this find in here because I really do think it was a very special find indeed. It is, of course, the early medieval crucifix artifact. Now, I found this video back in the summer, and it was in a field that I had been to several times before, and it was a permission that I went into with Brian that day, and we'd gone into this field that Brian's done absolutely loads and loads of times. He had so many nice kind of coins out of that field. A lot of them were around the sort of 15 to 1600s era coins, and he had almost found his own little hotspot at the bottom of this field. And he basically gave me a call and said, look, you want to come in this field, it's really good. I've been getting coins out of there for years and years, and I think that if you come in here with the dais, Brian uses a mine lab, so he was like, come in with the dais, see what you can get, and we'll go from there. And that's pretty much what I did. So again, it was a nice summer day, really gorgeous views in this permission, and I mean honestly, you know, it's quite close to the sea and the estuary, and a lot of the comments about this video were again about the views in the background, which I don't mind at all because I'm a sucker for a lovely view just like anyone else, and I try and incorporate those as much as possible within my content. But yeah, absolutely stunning views, stunning weather, and we were in this field that had basically just been ploughed, and I said to Brian, look, I'm going to leave you in your hotspot down the bottom. I'm going to go up near the top, give it a go up there, because Brian said he hadn't really tried very much up there, and I'll see what I can find. And I was detecting for quite a while. I had quite a few decent finds, but towards the end of the day, I'd say sort of middle of the afternoon, I had a target that was quite close to the hedgerow. And I plucked it out, and what was it? Of course, it was that amazing crucifix. It was a part of a medieval crucifix. Now, typically in the medieval period, crucifixes were quite a common thing, especially around monastic sites. And it is said that obviously holy men as well would sometimes carry crucifixes around. And this one was so interesting because I said it in the video at the time, and I think that if you look very closely at the crucifix head, it honestly does look like the imprint of Christ that is said to be on the Shroud of Turin. It's such a sort of close thing, and if you look at the picture of a Shroud of Turin and then you look at this picture of the crucifix artifacts, then you'll see what I'm saying. They are so similar. And that, of course, means that this could date from 1100, 1200, 1300. Now, I haven't actually taken this find to the FLO yet because we've been a little while without an FLO, and the FLO that we've got now has only just got into place, and it means that some of the stuff we found sort of late summer onwards, I haven't been able to go in and record. So the only things I have found out about this crucifix are the things that I told you in the video at the time. But since then, I have seen 1 or possibly 2 pop up online that have been found, and some of them have been different parts of the crucifix because, of course, this was just the head. Some people have found the sort of midsection and a part of the leg as well. And it just goes to show that how common these crucifixes were, and how, you know, they probably would have been mass produced at that time to be, you know, hung in churches or carried around with holy men or at pilgrimage sites and things like that. I still can't explain why this thing was in the field or why it was there. I know that Brian once said that the farmer had told him that there was a monastery somewhere around that permission, but I have done so much research. I have looked at old maps, I have read old charters and things like that, and honestly I cannot find a monastery anywhere close to that site. So it could very well be a forgotten monastery, but if it was destroyed in the dissolution of monasteries, then I'm sure that there would be a record of it. And monasteries were not small things. They were huge structures, huge important buildings, and they were the centre essentially of the monks and the holy people that lived around that area. So it would have been Very well documented, but this one, absolutely not. I cannot find it. So it's super, super interesting. It was a super find to find that day, and it certainly made that day very, very special indeed. I've still got it now, and you can still see the gilding over the top of it. And you know that it was going to be an absolutely wonderful thing, but at some stage in history, it got broken, it got smashed to pieces, and it got chucked away in a field. So who knows why it's there? I would love to know the story of that find. I would love to know the story of the person that destroyed it and took it away and put it in a field, but we are probably never ever going to find that out, regardless of how much we try. So there we are. That is find number 5 of 2023. It is, of course, the Jesus head, and it's part of an early medieval crucifix. So let's now look at find number 4. Find number 4 is a Bronze Age axe head. Now, this should have been way near the top, but if I'm honest, you know, I had a hard choice to decide which one was going to be in which order. Now, the funny story about finding this Bronze Age axe head was that I went out that day and I wasn't even filming a metal detecting video. I was in a permission that was a relatively new permission, and I wasn't getting much luck in the field that day. So I decided to just nip over the hedge, and there was a tiny little gap in the hedge, which I think deer had been using or something. So I remember climbing through the hedge and getting into the next field, and then just detecting in this field and just giving it a go. And it was the most strangest thing, because it was a very, very windy day, and it was again by the coast, and it was one of those days where you could hardly hear your headphones because it was just so blustery and so windy. And that was part of the reason why I thought, well, I'm not going to film a video, because it's almost certainly just going to be wind noise from start to finish. So I thought, you know, I'm just going to go out today and just do some metal detecting without filming it, and if I find anything, then I can just record it on my phone, and that way I can document it. And I was in this sort of new field for about 20 minutes, I would say, and I was walking along the hedgerow, and I remember walking along the hedgerow to the bottom of the field, turning around and coming back up. And then I just got this absolutely screaming target, and I was almost sure that it was going to be lead, or it was going to be something, you know, absolutely rubbish, which of course it usually is, right? But of course I dug the hole, and I remember digging the plug, didn't come out in the plug. I dug a little bit more, then a little bit more, and then all of a sudden, as I dug that last spadeful, I saw this like huge thing just go dump into the bottom, and I sort of stopped, looked at it, and it was obviously covered in mud. And you know, I know what Bronze Age axe heads look like, and I'm pretty sure most of you watching this film know what Bronze Age axe heads looks like. So it was almost an instant recognizable thing. It was like meeting somebody on the street that you went to school with 20, 30 years ago. You know, you're like, oh, I kind of know them. And that's exactly what I did. I stopped, stared at it, and then it clicked that I had found this amazing little Bronze Age axe head. Now, this thing was a very special little find indeed, because it was a very rare find for my part of the country. I metal detect in the southwest of England, so history down here is very, very few and far between. We are quite blessed here because there is lots of Celtic, Iron Age, Bronze Age sites. It was quite a prolific area for that time of the history. And there are lots and lots of sites around, but they are very, very few and far between. And a lot of the good ones are now scheduled sites, which means, of course, you can't go anywhere near them with a metal detector. So when something like this pops up in a random field, you just think, wow, you know, what is the chances of that? It goes to show that you could literally be anywhere, really, and pull up absolutely anything, because, of course, I don't know whether this was a random drop or whether it was a ritual deposit or something like that. Could even have been a burial there, but you know, metal detectors don't pick up bones, so we were never going to find out if there was a burial there or not. But the understanding I have now of the axe head, have been told that it's a small miniature-sized axe head, which are very, very uncommon for this region. And they were made essentially not to hack down wood and trees and clear forests and those sorts of things. They were made as a gift to the ancestors or the gods or whatever. So 9 times out of 10, they were cast, polished, and then they were thrown in the ground as a kind of gift of an offering. So it basically tells me that where I was detecting that day, there must have been, you know, a hive of Bronze Age activity. Again, it was quite close to a river, so were they fishing, were they doing this, were they doing that? I don't know, your guess is as good as mine. But yeah, I stumbled across it, and of course I wasn't filming, so I was absolutely gutted. I do remember whipping out my phone at the time and just going, right, do you know what, I've got to capture this. And I filmed a YouTube short. And the YouTube short is of course on my channel, and it's just of me in this completely windswept field, hair blowing everywhere, this ridiculous grin on my face, go, oh my God, look what I've just found. Because it was one of those moments, it was a really exciting moment, and I wanted to catch it on camera. Yeah, so I filmed the short, I filmed the axe head, and I said, look, I think this is a Bronze Age axe head. But I didn't know how important it was. I certainly had no idea how important it was for this particular region as well. So it turned out to be quite an important thing indeed. And I also remember phoning up Mr. Tweed as well, and he couldn't come out that day. So I remember just phoning him up randomly on my phone and going, oh my God, I've just found this Bronze Age axe head, and you're never going to believe it, never going to believe it, and had to send him pictures of it, else he would not have believed it. And I could hardly hear him, and he could hardly hear me, because that is how windy it was this day. It was so windy. But yeah, it was an amazing find. I'm so blessed to find it. I still have it now, it's preserved. I've actually got it in a sort of sealed box, and it's with those gelatine pouches, and what essentially it's doing is it's very slowly stopping the bronze disease inside of it. And every other month I have to take out the gelatine crystals, either replace them with new packs, or I just stick them in the microwave for a couple of minutes to dry them out. Because what the conservation experts said when we went to see the FLO about it was that if you leave the gelatine crystals inside, then what happens is they just absorb the moisture. They can't absorb moisture anymore, and then they end up putting it back in the object, because of course there's no else for this kind of moisture to go. So I have to take them out every now and again, put them in the microwave, dry them out, and keep it in there. So hopefully it's preserving it really, really nicely. And that's going to stay in my collection for a long time, because to be honest, it's one of those things that I love pulling out from time to time, having a look in it, reminiscing about the day that I found it, and hopefully one day I'm going to find another one, absolutely, because what a bucket lister that was. Okay, so that leads me nicely on to number 3, third best find of 2023. And that for me, again, was a very hard choice, but I'm going to put this one as the Elizabeth I shilling that I pulled out of the same field, and it was on the very same day that I found that medieval artifact, which was the crucifix head. Now, the reason I'm going to put this as number 3 is because I have never found an Elizabeth I shilling before, and this one was just in absolutely amazing condition, considering it was in a ploughed field. This field had been ploughed for so many years, it had been worked for so long, that I just couldn't believe something this big and this amazing could come out of the ground in the condition that it came out. But it really, really was a very special find indeed. It was again, a really glorious day, really nice views. I was with Brian, although Brian was kind of a little bit away from me. And I know that Brian that particular day wasn't getting as many hammered coins as what he'd usually get out of his little section of the field. And I remember finding it, and then I called over to Brian to say, I've just found this absolutely huge thing. I think it's a hammered coin. And Brian came running over to see what it was. And interestingly, on the video, which you cannot see at all, Brian is literally right behind me. He's right behind the camera because he wants to see me unravel this thing as well. And I remember placing bets with him before I started filming the footage that what it was going to be. Now, I was quite sure that it was going to be a crown, or a shilling, sorry, but I wasn't too sure who was going to be on it, so I was kind of hedging a bet as to say that this was very likely going to be a Charles VI or something like that. But of course, you know, it could have been absolutely anything at all, and it was place your bets. What do you think this crown is going to be? And I remember just unraveling it with my glove, picking off that bit of dirt that was on there and seeing this face. And honestly, Brian was right behind me, breathing down my neck, because he wanted to see what it was as well. And he said to me that day that he had never ever found anything that big in that field before. And he had been doing it for years and years and years. So it was a total surprise. And what we also found out about this field is that a few years ago, there was actually a huge club dig in this field. And when I say a club dig, I mean 30 or 40 people were walking around this field and some of the fields around it. And they have been there several times. It wasn't the first time they had been to this field. Now, let me tell you something. We have done these fields quite a bit afterwards. And every time we have gone there, we have found good things. So either they weren't finding everything in there, or because the field had been ploughed and ploughed and ploughed so many times since that, it was just bringing up more and more finds for us to find. And every time we've been there, we've always found something really, really good in this permission. So it's one of our favourites. We always sort of drive past it and just have a look at how long the grass is, and then we will message each other and say, oh, you know, the grass is a bit long, or oh, the farmer's just ploughed it, or whatever. So we're always keeping an eye on it, always planning our return visit to get back in that field, because yeah, we've just both had so many amazing things out of this permission. And it was, again, that shilling for me was just absolutely stunning. It takes pride in place of my collection today. It's a wonderful coin to look at. You don't find many Elizabeth I shillings, if I'm honest with you. You always find the Charles and the Jameses, but very rarely the Elizabeth I. So I know a lot of people out there have found them before, and some of them have been in way nicer condition than mine. But honestly, I am so pleased with mine, because I was never ever expecting to find one. I'd found loads of threepences, sixpences and things like that, but never a shilling, and never in that greater condition out of a ploughed field. So now we are on find number 2, my second greatest find of 2023. Now this was a really tough one, because of course you probably know what's coming, you probably know what's number 1, and I couldn't decide which one was going to be the best one. Now of course, find number 2 of 2023 is very recently we went out and found a load of Roman coins in a field, and it was a brand new permission that I had got, and I invited Brian to come on it for the Christmas video, and we went there. I had got this permission the week before, and I decided to go there with my metal detector and just kind of see what was around. And I remember field hopping that day. I probably went into about, I don't know, 3 or 4 different fields with my metal detector. And the field that we found all of these amazing Roman coins in was the first field that I went in, because it was the most interesting to me because of some of the features that had been recorded in this field. And I went in the field and I basically walked around the outside and then kind of did a little bit of a star through the middle of the field. And I did find one Roman coin, which is why I kind of said to Brian, look, let's go here for the Christmas dig, because I was finding a few other bits in some of the other fields around this particular Roman field, but what I thought was that, well, if there's one Roman coin there, potentially there's going to be a few more. So I text Brian, I said, yeah, let's go and hit it for the Christmas dig. Let's go there on the Saturday and let's just see what we can find. Now, I honestly had no idea that we were going to find as many Roman coins as we did. It truly was a special day, and as I said on the previous video to this one, it does constitute a Roman hoard. Now, there are lots of things I want to say about the hoard and lots of things I want to say about the coin, but I'm going to save that for a special video because we have been back since, and yeah, let me tell you that that was not the only coins that we found in there. So there is going to be plenty more to come out of that field, and I am almost 100% sure, and so is a lot of the specialists that I've talked to and the local finds and airsoft officer, so sure that there is going to be a single source of coins in that field. So I just have to find it. We have gone over that field with a fine tooth comb with our metal detectors, and what's really interesting about this field is that there is none on the outside of the field, there's none at the bottom part of the field, but there is this one spot which I would probably say is about 30 meters across, that's situated in the center of this field, which every single one of those coins came out of. And the coins were relatively shallow, but I'd probably say about 5 to 6 of them were relatively deep. So it must have come from a single source. There is no doubt about it. The condition of the coins means that they weren't in circulation. The date range of the coins means that they were so closely formed and put together that they must have all come in at the same sort of time. And being a defensive site means that, of course, that it was normal for them to bury all of their cache of coins and come back to them once the attack was over as well. So there we are. That is number 2 of 2023. It was a late one coming in right at the end for the December dig, but finding a Roman coin hoard has to be in your top finds for 2023. So what an amazing experience it was. I hope you enjoy that video, but let me assure you that there's going to be lots more information coming about that one. So of course hit subscribe if you want to find out more about that particular coin hoard. I'm pretty sure you're going to be interested to hear all of the things that we have since found out about it. So we are now to number 1, the number 1 thing that I found in 2023 that beats all of the other amazing things that we've talked about in this video. And can you guess what it is? Well, I'm pretty sure a lot of you out there are going to be screaming at it right now. For me, the number 1 thing that I found in 2023 was, of course, the gold hammered quarter noble of Edward III. Now, the reason why, of course, this is number 1 is because A, it's a gold coin, bucket lister. It's a gold hammered coin, bucket lister. It's 800 years old. It came out in absolutely wonderful condition, and it was just such an amazing, amazing moment. It's certainly just something I'm never, ever going to forget. And when I meet people that aren't into metal detecting and ask me about what I do and why I do it, that is the thing that I always tell them. I'll say, one day I went into this field and I wasn't expecting to find anything, and then out popped this amazing condition gold hammered coin, which was effectively lying on the surface of this field, and it was worth, you know, £1,500, £2,000. And it just completely, you watch their face, they're just, wow, I can't believe you go out and find things like that. And it's such a great way to introduce the world of metal detecting to people that have no idea really about what it is. A lot of people still think that it's just guys that comb beaches and things like that, which is nothing wrong with that at all. You know, I do that myself. I absolutely love it. But I don't think a lot of people realise that you can go into fields and do it, and that you actually find things in fields. And honestly, a lot of the people that I speak to, they just can't comprehend that, and they always think, well, you're never going to find anything in a farmer's field. You must just be finding horseshoes. But of course, we don't just find horseshoes, do we? We find so many amazing, wonderful things in fields, and that gold coin was just the absolute epitome of an amazing bucket lister find. And there are people out there that have detected for 30 or 40 years, you know, ever since metal detectors became a consumable product. People have gone out and metal detected, and they have never found a gold coin, or, you know, they might have found a sovereign or something like that, but a gold hammered coin, I mean, that is just absolutely unthinkable, isn't it? And again, the condition of the coin was amazing. It was lying on the top. Now, of course, this again wasn't in a full video. That day I was out in the field filming a video that I was recording for XP metal detectors, and it was all about the Go Terrain app that was due to be launched, and I basically filmed a video for them about me using the application and how easy it is and all those sorts of things. And it's a great application. I still use it every time I go out now, and I highly recommend it. If you haven't downloaded it, please go and definitely download that app, because it is fantastic. But yeah, I was actually filming for that video on that day. And if you have seen the video that I made for XP on their channel, you'll see that I'm wearing all exactly the same things that I'm wearing in the short that I filmed that coin, me finding that coin. Now, I remember I was left with a bit of a dilemma because I really wanted to include me finding the gold coin in the video that I made for XP metal detectors, but I wasn't too sure whether or not it was kind of the right platform for me to do it. And to cut a long story short, in the end I decided not to include it in the video, and so I just sort of filmed a little short in between me shooting the Go Terrain stuff on my phone, and that is why it was never ever on a live metal detecting video. It was just a short of me finding it, and then I thought, well, I can't find a find of a lifetime find without filming a proper video about it. So I basically just had to stand in front of a camera and tell you all about the amazing story of me finding this amazing gold coin. And yeah, it was truly amazing. If you haven't watched that video, I will put a link of it down in the description of this video so that you can all reminisce that particular moment with me. But it was such a special find. It had to be my number one. If I go back to this Roman site and find a whole, cache of Roman coins, then I think that's going to top this amazing quarter noble. But, it still doesn't take away from the fact that this thing really was such a very special find. And it was a find that I found last year. And hey, who knows, in 2024, I might find another gold coin. I might even find a better one. But if I don't, then I have lived through that moment and I have got that in my memory. And yeah, I still look at the coin quite regularly, actually, just to check that it was real. But it was definitely real. And it's still there and I still look at it a lot. So that is my 5 top finds of 2023. What are your top finds of 2023? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to know what your best finds of 2023 are. And also, do you agree with my top 5 finds? Do you think that they are my top 5 finds? Do you recall watching some of my videos and me finding something else that should have made it in my top 5 of 2023? Let me know below because I would love to know your feedback as well. But this video has gone on for ages now, but I'm so glad that I got to do it and look back at all the sort of things that I found in 2023. And I hope you've enjoyed listening to some of the stories about me finding them as well, because as I say, it's been an absolutely wonderful experience. It's been the best year for me metal detecting out of 15 years metal detecting now. I started metal detecting 15 years ago with a brand new XP gold max power metal detector, and it was one of those ones that you had to put all the double AA batteries in, and I remember just carrying around so many batteries with that thing because I was always scared that it was going to go flat. But an amazing metal detector. I think if I'd have started off with a cheap metal detector, I don't think I'd probably still be metal detecting now. So I'm glad I spent sort of I think it was like almost £700 back then on a metal detector, because yeah, that thing found me so many good things that it just got me hooked. And that was it for me. And of course now, 15 years later, I'm on YouTube filming a video about all the amazing things that I found in 2023 and sharing it with you. So I really hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you very much. I hope you've had a good Christmas and a huge Happy New Year from me. We will be returning very shortly, so hopefully 2024 is going to be such a great year again. Please come and join me for 2024. Hit subscribe, hit the like button, and let's just all go at this together, see what we can get out. And guys, good luck to you as well when you go out on your hunts. Let's get 2024 in the bag. Let's find some amazing things. But until then, have a good, happy new year, and I will catch you all very soon.